Welcome to all to the State of the College at Barnard Reunion Reimagined. My name is Jyoti Menon from the class of 2001 and president of the Alumni Association of Barnard College. Just a reminder that this event is being recorded and shared later this week. Attendees will not have microphone or camera access during this online event. Attendees' voices, likeness, and/or images will not be captured by Barnard College. Written submissions of questions may be shared during the Q&A portion of the event. With that in mind, I want to thank everyone who submitted questions for President Beilock in advance and ask that if you would like to submit a question during the event, locate the chat function within the Zoom webinar. You will find a link to a form to submit questions there. Before we begin, I know the unrest around the country and the world is on everyone's minds right now. I echo the sentiments shared over the weekend by President Beilock, and I encourage you to get involved in the important work taking place at Barnard that aims to interrogate racism and systematic discrimination in all its forms. It is the purpose of the Alumni Association of Barnard College to promote a spirit of fellowship among alumni, and Reunion is one of our flagship programs that brings alumni together to hear from other members of the Barnard community, to learn and to engage with each other. This connection is critical to addressing these issues so that we can be informed and empowered to take action. So thank you again so much for being with us today. With that, it is my honor to introduce Barnard's president, Sian Beilock. Sian Beilock became president of Barnard College in July 2017 after spending 12 years at the University of Chicago. She is one of the world's leading experts on the cognitive science behind choking under pressure and performance anxiety, with a focus on math and science for women and girls. She is the author of 2 critically acclaimed books, Choke and How the Body Knows Its Mind, and her 2018 TED Talk has been viewed over 2 million times. We are so glad to have her at the helm. Please join me in welcoming President Sian Beilock.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Jyoti. It's wonderful to be here today. I'm sitting in my living room overlooking Barnard College, which is quite beautiful at the moment, and it's just really a surreal time, I guess I would say, to see everything going on here in the country and in the world. I think it's now more important than ever to gather, to talk about the power of Barnard, and I'm excited to be here today to share a little bit of the state of the college with you. I know Reunion is not the same as being in person, but I've already heard so many wonderful things about Reunion Reimagined, and I know if any group or institution, family, as Barnard is, would be able to pivot so quickly and pull off something that helps bring the community together, it would be Barnard. So it's great to be here. It hasn't been an easy year for Barnard or for the world, and I think the unrest over the last few days has been painful for everyone, most specifically for those in the Black community, people of color who feel this now, and of course many of the issues that we're speaking about, we're protesting, we're all joining about are not new. What I can say, though, is that it's been so deeply heartening to see so many members of our community come together with a sense of grace and support for each other. And it's in this spirit that I felt it was so important to write over the weekend, to be very clear that Barnard denounces in the strongest possible form the anti-Black violence and rhetoric that's been unfolding across the nation, and really to call on all of us to be our best selves here, to figure out how we can express what we stand for. The work going on at Barnard is addressing injustices, inequality in so many ways, from our Athena Center for Leadership to the Barnard Center for Research on Women, to the work that our Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Ariana Gonzalez-Stokas, is leading, from the work done in so many of our departments. It's really a time where our knowledge and the knowledge that we put to action can be so important. And so for me, I think, these are really moments to figure out how, even in small ways, we can struggle for justice. The first, of course, is to commit to anti-racism and to find, even in small ways, how we can contribute in our own work, in our own way, to racial justice and equity. And I'm so pleased to see how this is happening across our campus, how we've come together to support one another. And I think if there's any doubt that institutions that interrogate inequality in all their forms, that focus on structural racism and issues, if there's any doubt that such institutions are so important, that has been laid to rest now. We have more important work to do than ever. And that's what I think about Barnard more than anything, is that we are here to help support and educate the next generation of young women who are going to go out and change the world. And I can't think of a more important time than now to do the kind of work we're doing. And we've been doing this since Barnard's founding, and we have had even a more important mandate and an intensity to what we're doing in all the events that have unfolded over the year. Most recently, we reacted quickly to the pandemic at Barnard. It didn't just start when issues began to unfold in New York City. We had several hundred students abroad, and we worked from even early January to help them get safely to their homes. We then turned our attention to New York City, and we made the decision, like our peer institutions, Columbia and the city, to work to move classes remotely. This was a big endeavor, and we did it quickly in March, and I am just so impressed with all the students, faculty, and staff, the resilience they demonstrated moving off campus. We helped students get to where they needed to go. And then, of course, we made a decision that I think was really an important one, that we weren't going to close down our residence halls, that students who were housing insecure or international students that couldn't get home to their home countries, we wanted to make sure that they had a place to be. So since mid to late March, we've had about 150 students residing on campus. It's a very different campus, but one in which they're able to do their work remotely. And now, as we celebrated graduation for the class of 2020 a few weeks ago, we're now really turning our attention to focus on what's happening in the fall. Before I talk a little bit about that and our plan and what's happening at Barnard, I do want to say that even though Barnard is apart, we are still working so, I would say, diligently and intensely to provide support services. So our primary health care and our Ferment Counseling Center is available for remote consultations. Beyond Barnard continues to provide programming and individual advising. And I want to thank all alumni who stepped up to contribute to the Safety Net Fund, which to date has assisted more than 325 students with unexpected costs related to moving home, transitioning to remote learning, and more. We've also made emergency grants to students who were food insecure, who needed help, really with the goal of helping them continue their education. Finally, we also made a decision as an institution to ensure that students who weren't able to have summer jobs or income wouldn't be penalized in terms of contributing to. We put something, I think, pretty extraordinary in place for the next academic year, in that any student incoming and sophomores, juniors, and seniors would not have to have a student earning contribution. So typically, if you're on financial aid, we ask you to contribute something over the summer, and Barnard will grant that money to students. It's about $3 million, but we felt it was really important to ensure that students had every ability to be ready for the fall. So looking ahead to the fall semester, I think we are all in a little bit of an exercise in patience. You know, I think there's really pressure on leaders to make quick decisions. In this situation, the more information we have, the more we can look to our public health experts, the better able we'll be to ensure that we're making the right decisions to have our students on campus learning in the right ways. And of course, our goal is to be back in September, but we are really looking at a number of factors and preparing for several scenarios in order to ensure that we can deliver the best possible education to our students. And I think when you're thinking about how you make these goals, how you come up with ideas about what's happening, it's important to have principles that are guiding what you're doing. And there are three principles that my team and our faculty working groups and our work with students are really focused on. The first is really maintaining the academic excellence, you know, what Barnard is all about, and that's so important in whatever we do, whether we are on campus, virtual, a mix of the two. The second is ensuring that Barnard can continue its academic mission for the long term, right? We are not an institution that is here for a few years. We're an institution with over 125-year history, and we look to have that same impact moving forward. So really thinking about it for the long term. And then of course, most importantly, supporting the physical and mental health and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff, and especially those who are most vulnerable. So we have two real strong groups on campus that are working to think about fall. We have a return to campus working group that's led by Vice President for Operations, Roger Moser. This is focusing on everything from thinking about the necessary health and safety steps that would be needed to bring students back to campus, to have classes in person, what classes might be in person, what might be online, how we might do surveillance testing to make sure that our population, or to better understand the prevalence of COVID-19 in our population, how to do cleaning, whether or not technology needs to be changed in our classrooms. There's a lot of questions there. And then we have an academic working group that's led by Provost Linda Bell that's exploring campus learning and other possibilities. And our goal really is to be flexible this year. We know that it's hard. We're in a hard situation, whether your learning environment is disrupted in terms of your home situation versus thinking about the anxiety a lot of us feel in this situation, really working to do the most flexible, creative, innovative type of instruction for our students. And so earlier this past month, I announced that as Columbia, we would be moving to a 3-semester model for next year. So students will have the ability to be enrolled in fall, spring, and summer. And we're also looking at flexibility in terms of classes, maybe not only semester-long classes, but also possibly some shorter, intense classes. Looking at the research on how learning is best in stressful times, there's some benefit for some classes to being able to do a deep dive rather than spread it across an entire semester. Regardless of the mode we take, classes will start on September 8th, and we're excited to really think and use what's happening as a jumping board, to think as creatively as possible about engaging our students in the most meaningful education. Part of this is not just going to be about how the semester or the year is structured. Part of it's going to be about the classes they take. I think we have a real opportunity here as a college focused on knowledge for the social good, as a college focused on knowledge in terms of impact, of learning from books as well as from community activists and members, as well as from nonprofits and industries. We have a real opportunity here to engage our students in the kinds of solutions that are needed to address many of the issues going on in the world. And we have a long history of this. We have our Harlem semester where students in classes partner with nonprofits in Harlem to attack problems, or our Mississippi semester where students in a fantastic history class partner with a nonprofit focused on low-income single mothers and have worked to help get information to state and other funding agencies about some of the issues that these low-income mothers face. We have a sustainability workshop that has worked with the city of New York to better understand how to enact sustainable practices around gardens and dealing with garbage. We have a history of engaging with the community and engaging with the larger questions in the world, and now is the time to do that. So our faculty are working really hard on how we might adjust our first year experience to involve attacking big problems in COVID-19, and how all of our students might be engaged in a way that helps them really focus on contributing to some of the issues we face. And I can't think of a better time to do that. Our students want to be involved. They do internships. They are coming up with unique ways to have an impact. And so what better way to partner our faculty and our students with some of the issues going on in the world to really take a step. So I'm excited about what that will look like, and there'll be more information as we move forward. Of course, we're not just thinking about the short term here at Barnard, we're also thinking about the long-term health of the institution. And as you can imagine, Barnard's finances haven't been immune to the impacts of the economic downturn. We've taken important but difficult steps to ensure the long-term financial health of the college. Of note, one thing that is so important to everything we're doing is that we're really committed to our need-blind admissions policy and meeting students' full demonstrated financial need. Barnard is about academic excellence, and you cannot have academic excellence unless you have a variety of opinions, a variety of lived experiences at the table. Diversity in thought brings better knowledge, and that need-blind admissions policy is inherent to that. Of course, this brings unexpected costs. It brings costs in terms of supporting our students. It brought costs in terms of moving students off campus. It brought costs in terms of ensuring that the least advantaged students had support to get home or could stay on campus. And it brings costs that we can't even yet determine. So there's no clear answer about how any of this will play out. And of course, it infuses uncertainty into our budget. So we've taken a number of cost-cutting measures to help ensure that we are really ready and strong in the long term. I want to be really clear that Barnard is strong now and will be strong into the future. But of course, the support and help of alumni, of friends of the college, the philanthropic support is so important to everything we do. So whether whatever and you can do as alumni to support Barnard, I think, we thank you for that. It's going to be even more important moving forward. Of course, in spite of our difficult year, and all the planning we're doing getting ready for fall, I'm also very excited about what that looks like. As I mentioned, we have a chance to be innovative and creative and flexible in a way that most other institutions just aren't prepared to do. We have such amazing scholar teachers who are researching at the highest levels and also devoted to teaching. There is no other institution that is better prepared to pivot to address the challenges of our time. And that's not just all. We have something that is so exciting to students, which is you. We talk so much about our 35,000 strong network of alumni, and when students come, they are joining the Barnard family. And that's not just when they're on campus, but it's after. We talk about the fact that beyond Barnard, our initiative focused on careers and next steps is available for students, but also for alumni forever. And I just wanted to share a few quick highlights of all the exciting things going on campus, and I think is reflected in the excitement for what Barnard has to offer. First, I want to mention that we again welcomed our most selective and diverse class ever for the class of 2024. Barnard this year had 9,400 applications for just about 600 spots, which makes us one of the most selective of any colleges or university in the country. And I think it speaks to the fact that students see the value in what we're offering at Barnard. In September, we introduced our Feel Well, Do Well initiative. It's a new campus-wide initiative that integrates the core principles of wellness with academic excellence. And the idea is that you can't be successful in the classroom or anywhere else if you're not taking care of yourself. And so our goal has been to really engage the entire campus in conversations about what wellness means. This is not something that just happens in the counseling center or the primary health center. Wellness is something that is a conversation that needs to be happening with folks in the dining hall, with faculty, with everyone. And so I'm really excited about where we're going with this. It's really defining what wellness looks like on a 21st century college campus, and it will be more important than ever moving forward. We also this year elevated 2 programs into departments, American Studies and Neuroscience and Behavior. The latter really reflects our push to focus and elevate the sciences in terms of reflecting the eminence that they really garner. And as I've said so many times, it's not mutually exclusive with our success and eminence in the arts and the humanities and dance. We have such success across the arts and sciences, and it's fantastic actually to be one of a few neuroscience and behavior programs across undergrad institutions in the country. It's really, we're really pushing in that way. This year, we also welcome Maria Hinojosa, class of '84. She is our inaugural Distinguished Journalist in Residence, and she's teaching classes that students are just so excited about. And she's such an important voice in all that's going on in our country and the world right now. And it's a great example of really knowledge for action. She's a working journalist, but also working with our students in terms of how to voice one's opinions, how to affect change. It's so exciting. Gusty Owens, class of '22, and other Barnard students contributed to the Butler Banner Project this year. I hope many of you saw it. It displayed the names of 8 women writers and visionaries on Butler Library. And this is over the names that are permanently etched in Butler Library at Columbia, which are all men. The names included Zora Neale Hurston, class of '28, Diana Cheng, class of '49, and Enizake Shange, class of '70. So it's just fantastic. You can find out more on our website. In February, just moving forward, we launched the next chapter of the Athena Center for Leadership Studies, and I really encourage you to go take a look. Athena is taking really a front seat in terms of helping students connect with problems in the world. They worked on one of Athena's first challenges, a hunger challenges, entitled What's on Your Plate? Tackling Food Insecurity with the help of top industry experts and collaborative problem-solving experience, and just really fantastic. And then, of course, we had the 10th anniversary of the Athena Film Festival. Greta Gerwig was there. We had more than 50 events, really just fantastic. And something I wanted to mention that's really close to my heart is that Beyond Barnard celebrated its 2nd birthday in February, just a few weeks before we went remote. But they didn't stop their work. In the month of April alone, over 700 students and alumni engaged in virtual events. And this July, they will have logged more than 4,000 individual appointments for the year. Almost 500 of our 600 something seniors completed at least one appointment with Beyond Barnard. And I think this goes back to the idea that what Barnard is not just about the 4 years at college, it is about a lifetime of helping catapult our young women and our alumni into new and more and different roles, and really working to affect change. And of course, something else that is really great this year is that we implemented our 4+1 pathways. These are new opportunities that are created with Columbia, where in 5 years, our students can get a bachelor's at Barnard and a master's at Columbia. We'll have close to 30 students enrolled this year in everything from computer science to public health to international affairs to humanities and engineering. And I can't think of a better way to really celebrate our relationship with Columbia than these advanced degrees. And it's a unique experience that students are really flocking to. And now students are saying they're applying to Barnard because of some of these 4 +1 programs. Finally, we're starting new programs over the summer, really designed to bring the community together, especially when we're apart. It's hard to feel that sense of togetherness. I was thrilled to have the opportunity last week to speak with Stacey Abrams, founder of Fair Fight Action, and it was part of a new series for students and alums called Insights, powered by Barnard. Our next conversation will be with Martha Stewart on June 18th, and it's really a chance to pick the brains of top women leaders. We had almost 1,000 people engaged for that, and just so excited. I want to give a special thanks and shout out to Jyoti Menon for the introduction and also for her tenure as AABC president. She's stepping down as president, and she's just been such a pleasure to work with, and so fantastic in terms of helping garner support of alumni and really helping to reflect the voice of alumni everywhere. So, in short, there are lots of challenges that we're facing, but also I'm excited about all the opportunities. Barnard is strong. Barnard has an amazing history and will have an amazing future. And there's never been a more important time for Barnard to be what it is and to focus on propelling our students and addressing the challenges of our time. So thank you for listening to me. I think I'm going to take some questions now, and I'll look on the Google Sheet and try and answer as many as I can as they come in. So I have a question from a student, from an alum, asking if we're hoping to contribute to Barnard programs centering and supporting Black Barnard students, to which fund can we direct earmarked resources? It's a great question. What we'd ask is that you give to the annual fund, and then you can add an earmarked for the gift for the Barnard Center for Research on Women. This is really a place that is involving students and faculty in really addressing issues around social justice reform, around prison reform, so many really great impacts. So I have another question. What makes me hopeful right now? I would say you, the alums, the amount of support that you really showed during the pandemic, during our tragedy earlier this year with the unfortunate death of Tessa Majors, the amount of support you're showing our students through our safety net fund, it really does show how amazing this community is. And we've been working hard. We're all a little tired, but I know that what we're doing is going to really propel us into the next stage of what higher education is, what it means to contribute to the world, and our alumni out there on the front lines, thinking about how they can help Barnard. It's so special, and it makes me very hopeful. Okay. So I have a question about my research. Based on my research on performing under stress or being anxious, what sort of tips can I give right now? The first thing that I would say is that it's okay to be anxious. It's okay to feel unsettled. It's okay to feel distressed, to feel grief for others, but for our society as a whole and how things will change. And I think acknowledging that that's okay, not beating ourselves up for feeling that way is a great first step. And then really think about what you can do to have an impact. How are you going to play a part? And it could be in so many different ways. For me, one thing I'm doing is just having really important conversations with my 9-year-old Sarah about what's going on in the world around us, what it means to have inequality, what it means to be treated differently based on the color of your skin. And for me, helping to educate a young child to talk about these things, conversations that for me are not always easy, is a first step I'm taking, or one step I'm taking. And I think anything that you're doing right now to move in an important direction, you should commend yourself for that. There's of course more to do, but little things do matter here. So there's a question about seeing some of the challenges that so many colleges and universities are facing, and how this relates to what's happening at Barnard. And I will say that Barnard is so strong in terms of its ability to continue doing what it's doing. And part of that is because of the support of alumni, the support of our trustees, the support of friends of the college. Part of that is because of the interest in Barnard. We have so many young women who are so excited to be at Barnard. And now is really a time to be creative, to address the challenges head on, and to ensure that we're here for another 125 years. And I'm so excited to do that. And I look forward to what's next. So I think I'll stop there. Thank you so much for your questions, for being here today, for being part of the Barnard family. I wish you good health, and I can't think of a more important time to really step up and take on the responsibility of what a Barnard education means, and to go out and to help affect change. So let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, President Beilock, for taking the time to be with us today. It's truly a pleasure to have you and hear from you during Reunion Reimagined. And I want to thank all of you who've joined us today and throughout the week for Reunion Reimagined. It's definitely a new way of doing things, and we appreciate you and the overall Barnard community being here with us and enjoying these programs. I encourage all of you to visit reunion.barnard.edu for additional program information. Thank you so much, and be well.